I don't build companies to sell them. I build companies that I aspire to be generational. And when my orientation is around building generational companies, what happens today or tomorrow is completely irrelevant. Frankly, what happens next quarter is completely irrelevant. It's have we built platforms that can sustain, withstand challenges, and little by little systematically grow in a meaningful but reasonable way. So if your orientation is to build a generational company, it requires that you go low and slow and systematically. If your orientation is to take venture capital and try to hockey stick growth and strive for what the venture capitalists call power law type results, well, 9 out of 10 fail, and you have to be prepared for that as an entrepreneur.
Fastlane Founders and Legacy with Jason Barnard. Each week, Jason sits down with successful entrepreneurs, CEOs, and executives and get them to share how they mastered the delicate balance between rapid growth and enduring success in the business world. How can we quickly build a profitable business that stands the test of time and becomes our legacy? A legacy we're proud of. Fastlane Founders and Legacy with Jason Barnard.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Fastlane Founders and Legacy. I'm Jason Barnard, and I'm here with a quick hello, and we're good to go. Welcome to the show, David Steele.
What an introduction. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, you're in music as well, so that was very appropriate.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about portfolio mastery, but it's actually about multifacetedness of an entrepreneur, and you have multiple facets. I think probably discussing it before, you had at least half a dozen. You probably got more that you haven't yet told me.
Yeah, I do a bunch of stuff that makes sense to me, but from the outside looking in, maybe not, doesn't make total sense to everybody else.
So, I mean, the episode, I think, is going to be primarily about how to manage multifacetedness and passion in your work, make it work in terms of the way you manage your business life, but also your life more generally. And in particular, for me, what's interesting is Google and AI, which is where we hang out at Calicube. And Google.com, now the default is AI mode. So search results are going to slowly disappear, or maybe quickly disappear. And this is the traditional search result for your name. David Steele was an English cricketer, apparently. And the problem here that Google has is it can really only show one person primarily, plus a musician and an American sports commentator as the results about. So it's very limited. And with AI mode, all of a sudden you get this, which is a list of the people who are reasonably famous with the name David Steele in sports and other fields. And you get in at place number 6. With the founder and CEO of One Wealth Advisors, a financial advisory firm. And given the popularity of your name, that's pretty impressive.
Oh, is it? Okay. I was hoping for at least number 3 or 4.
Oh, okay. Well, you would need to work on that.
I couldn't imagine being as popular as an English cricketer. And I am aware that my last name has the etymology is English, but it's good to see that it's a popular English person.
Yeah, well, so you're surrounded by English people in the algorithm's brain. And that's kind of an interesting point, is it's going to group people together by their name where there's no other commonality. And the other problem, of course, is not only do you have a popular name, but you have multiple facets with your career. And Google and AI will tend to think that each facet is a different person with the same name. So you have not only the problem of disambiguation between yourself and other people, but disambiguation of yourself and your different facets, and not ending up with the machines thinking you're multiple people. So we're going to look at your facets. You manage over $1 billion in other people's assets. You've explained to me. What are your facets? What are your career? What are the important parts of your career that we could define as facets that Google or AI could identify and get confused by?
I suppose the two main things that I have created that are most substantial and maybe I'm most known for, at least in my narrow circles, are the creator of a financial planning company called One Wealth Advisors, which you saw as the number 6 hit. And that is a financial advisory firm. We provide financial life planning and wealth management to about 400 families, and we manage approximately $1 billion in assets for those families. And that practice started in 1991, 34-ish years ago.
Oh, wow.
And then
Ooh,
about
can I say we've got something in common? I founded my first company in 1991 too, and it was a music publishing company.
Oh, right on. Okay. And then I created a restaurant company starting, I think it was 16 years ago, that has 7 restaurants now and 3 more opening over the next year or so, and a consumer packaged goods business. And I'm executive chairman of that company. I spend about 70% of my time on the former and about 30% of my time on the latter. And I'm also on the board of a couple of restaurant companies and a couple of music industry companies as well.
Which is a second point of commonality between us. So that's
Yeah.
an awful lot. Number one is, how do you manage all that in your personal life? And I've got one company and it's CaliQ, and that's already far too much for me.
Delegate better.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, it really is that simple. I probably work about a total of 25 hours a week, 30 on a bad week. And it really is because, I mean, tangibly, it's because I've got brilliant partners, teammates in my companies. Arguably, it's because I had the foresight and the discipline to delegate to elevate, which I like to say, which is to say I very early on when I'm building organizations, I hire maybe even before I need to, accept less money for myself. That is to say, my expenses may be higher, but by doing so and by having turnover as low as possible in my teams, little by little, each of your team members develop mastery, of which I think my teams have done. And as they develop mastery, it elevates me, allows me to maybe do things that I'm best suited at doing, which is strategize, focus on growth, and not have to worry about operational details quite as much. And I think it's the operational details that bog entrepreneurs down. And so I always tell people when I'm doing any advisory or consulting work, make less money now. Like, live within your means, maybe even make less money, hire early, not late, and train and create great culture so people never leave. And little by little, the mastery eventually bears fruit for you.
Yeah, you say little by little. And I think that's kind of the problem. It's very tempting to jump in and try and solve problems and not have the patience to let that mastery develop, because it takes years for somebody to master the particular aspect of the company.
Yeah, I mean, it depends upon what your goal is. I don't build companies to sell them. I build companies that I aspire to be generational. And when my orientation is around building generational companies, what happens today or tomorrow is completely irrelevant. Frankly, what happens next quarter is completely irrelevant. It's, have we built platforms that can sustain, withstand challenges, and little by little systematically grow in a meaningful but reasonable way. I mean, you look at, let's talk about money. Somebody wins the lottery or signs a lucrative athletic contract in professional sports. It is not, I think most people understand, it's pretty common for those people to blow through their cash. Why? Well, they haven't developed a relationship with the wealth through sort of a plateauing process, a stair-step process along the way over the years. And I would contend that companies that grow too fast run the same risk. That is, the organization isn't underneath it built in a solidified way. So if your orientation is to build a generational company, it requires that you go low and slow and systematically. If your orientation is to take venture capital and try to hockey stick growth and strive for what the venture capitalists call power law type results, well, 9 out of 10 fail, and you have to be prepared for that as an entrepreneur. I am not prepared for that. I want to create businesses that have a 9 out of 10 succeed scenario.
Okay. Oh, I like that. And obviously this is the really obvious question right now, is with AI, everybody's freaking out and trying to move forwards as fast as they possibly can. And that's very tempting to get caught up in that wave of saying, I need to move forwards incredibly quickly and take advantage of the moment, which is now, when opportunities exist around AI that may not exist in 4 or 5 years.
I suppose. Although I was around during the dot-com bubble, and the winners of the dot-com bubble were not the dot-com tech companies, although a few of them won, Amazon being an obvious one. But the real winners of the dot-com bubble, that is to say the internet, were more seasoned companies. Let's just call it Walmart was a huge winner from the internet, and they're a generational company. So the majority of those companies that tried to take advantage of the dot-com era and be pure play internet companies failed. The overwhelming majority. I have a sneaking suspicion a large number of these AI companies that are racing to win are also going to fail. And I think there's probably going to be a few winners. It wouldn't shock me if the majority or even all of the winners end up being companies we already know, though.
Oh, I like that. That makes me feel much better and makes me feel less stressed out. Walmart is an interesting point. I was looking at some data, and Walmart has been, or was, the biggest company for such a long time. And I saw that and immediately thought, well, it's an offline business. It's surprising it hasn't lost that domination. And what you seem to be saying is they've very successfully moved themselves online and maintained or created that duality of on and offline pretty much seamlessly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Home Depot is another offline, online, brick and mortar online company. You can go on and on about all these companies that took their time to embrace the internet in terms of being what we now call omni-channel distribution, right? And I just have a sneaking suspicion AI is going to, when we reflect upon it 20 years from now, there's going to be some example of how existing super successful behemoth type companies, let's just call it Apple, Google, Meta, et cetera, were the real winners of AI. Obviously, NVIDIA is a huge winner right now, but NVIDIA has been around for almost 30 years. People forget.
Yeah, I mean, we do tend to forget that because they've kind of exploded over the last few years because of the current situation. Now, the other thing, of course, with restaurants, when I'm online all the time, I tend to think the world only ever exists online. But then the generational idea, and then the foundational day-to-day restaurants, supermarkets, so on and so forth, will always exist.
I mean, I think so. I mean, but I think the real question is, how can these traditional businesses take advantage of emerging technologies? So with AI, I mean, we're already starting. And I always say that in my businesses, AI is my vendor's problem, not my problem. What do I mean? So in the financial planning company, we have a tech stack that is made up of, we think, best-in-class applications. So let's say our CRM, we use Salesforce. They damn well better be on the bleeding edge of incorporating AI, or I will use a different CRM. Same thing with our portfolio management tool. If they're not incorporating AI and they're not best in class, then we'll use a different one. But at the end of the day, my company's job is to interact almost like a hospitality company with our financial planning clients, to provide them a platform that uses best-in-class tools, but it is human to human. And I would contend it's the same thing with restaurants, where people come to restaurants because they want an experience. Maybe some of them come because they just don't feel like cooking, but I think the majority of them come for something that is a little bit more engaging and delightful. And I don't think you can have such a delightful experience if you're interacting with robots or a screen. It's human to human. But AI is my vendor's problem at the restaurant company. So even with HR and IT, I can go down the list of all the things, all the ways that the vendors of our restaurant company damn well better be at the bleeding edge of incorporating AI, or a competitor of theirs is going to be replacing them in our tech stack.
Brilliant. And even more so with music, in terms of we're going for the experience. So I'm hopeful that live music will come back big time, because people will be feeling, I don't know, detached from the rest of humanity and seeing a real live band and standing in a
It
real...
already has. It already has. I don't have data to support this, but you could use AI to figure this out. I would not be shocked if 2025 was close to a record year for live music. And I only say that anecdotally because I'm on the board of a band management company that manages a bunch of rock and roll bands, and I'm on the board of a music festival promotion and production company. And so I don't totally have my finger on the pulse of that industry, but I'm attuned to what's going on. And the big problem we have is there's too much live music right now. That is to say that the market is being flooded by it, and that is probably a snapback after COVID. But and there will be losers from that. That is to say, there's too much supply maybe for the demand, but there's plenty of demand.
Right. Yeah, I kind of got that impression. I mean, I play in a band in the south of France, and I would really like the south of France to catch up with the world and organize more gigs so that I can play more.
Yeah, I mean, and I can speak to America, and if you look at the big promoters, Live Nation, AEG, Golden Voice, I mean, they're crushing it. Their festivals, I think I read Coachella sold out in minutes. It's the business is doing wonderfully from what I can tell. Thank you very much.
Well, that's brilliant. I mean, it's really encouraging to kind of think. I mean, I'm sitting in the middle of all the kind of AI hoo-ha, and you tend to get stuck in there and fail to see the bigger picture, and humanity and people connecting in a meaningful manner is something I really want to see coming back. But if we move on to your career, I mean, you've got 5 or 6 different hats. How hard is that to manage day to day for you personally?
It's so easy because I do the same thing across all the businesses I'm involved with, whether it's as a founder and an operator, of which I am with a couple of them, or as an advisor. It's always about people. And so for me, my restaurant company has over 300 employees. And so you'd say, wow, he's executive chairman, founder of a restaurant company with 300 employees. That's a lot. Well, no, I have a 9-person executive team. So we have biweekly meetings I sit on. I help run the board meetings with my co-founder, CEO of that company. So really, it's just people. Same thing with the financial planning company. And then when I'm my board role is I tend to be like a CEO coach and also organizing and participating in the board meetings. And really, it's the same stuff. It's just strategizing, goal setting, organizing, nurturing, coaching people.
Which then brings me to the question of how do you find the right people and how do you coach them or get them on board to the point at which they can take all that weight off your shoulders?
I see it related to the conversation we were having just a few minutes ago when it talks about what's your goal building generational companies or hockey stick growth, venture capital, power law like outcomes. If you're trying to build generational companies, I believe, and you want to create a great culture, I believe the best thing to do is hire based on desire and discipline and determination, and not necessarily privileging talent, or because I think talent is less important than those other 3 Ds that I just mentioned. So if I find somebody for an organization and I'm involved in building and they have the desire, discipline, and determination, we can over time help them develop the mastery like we spoke about earlier, even if they don't have an innate talent. And so that's what I privilege culturally as building organizations.
And you personally get involved in the coaching to get people up to speed and develop that talent?
In my financial planning company, it's only a team of 13. It's a very efficient company. And I'm involved deeply in the organizational development of the company and the coaching and nurturing of every individual in the company. I can do that with a 13-person team. My restaurant company has way too many employees for me to have the time to coach all of them, of course. And so for me, I'm coaching a 9-person executive team is the way I see it. So if you have a scaled company and you're a founder or leader, little by little, you're going to have to coach from the top and hopefully instill the idea of coaching to each of those leaders who inevitably are going to have teams that they're going to coach.
Yeah, the trickle down effect of coaching. That's what I'm going to try and build at CaliCube. We've just started in that kind of idea. For the last year, I've been converting myself into a CEO and trying to get more of that attitude and be less hands in. And as you said, delegate better. Was it delegate to elevate, you said?
Yeah. I don't know if I don't think I invented that. I'm sure I heard it somewhere, but I say it a lot now.
But it's a brilliant way to end the episode. Thank you so much, David. That was delightful. You get the outro song.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
A quick goodbye to end the show. Thank you, David.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Your corporate and personal brands are what Google and AI say they are. We can give you back control. CaliCube.